Welcome to a Dual Digest podcast where two friends dive deep into the topics that matter.
From technology and AI to science, history, and global trends, we break down complex ideas and make them easy to understand.
Whether you're here for insights, entertainment, or just some good conversation, we've got you covered.
Just remember, stay curious, question everything, and keep exploring the world around you. And remember, every great conversation starts with a curious mind. Let's explore together.
Make sure to follow and subscribe.
Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be exploring human nature today.
That's a pretty big topic.
Yeah, but we've got some great material to work with.
Yeah.
You sent over those excerpts from The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene.
Yeah.
And they really, I think they get to the heart of what makes people tick,
Yeah.
both ourselves and the people around us. So our mission today is to try to equip ourselves with some insights from Greene's book so we can better understand, ourselves and others.
Absolutely. And Greene, he doesn't really sugarcoat anything.
No, he doesn't.
He kind of dives right into the idea that we're all inherently irrational in a way.
Yeah. He jumps right into that idea that we have he even uses the phrase like a stranger within us, kind of driving these self-destructive behaviors that we often exhibit.
Yeah. And that we make decisions without even understanding the real reasons behind our actions.
That stranger within us idea is a little unnerving.
It is.
But isn't some level of emotional influence necessary for decision making?
Yeah.
How else would we even make choices?
That's a great question. And it kind of gets to the heart of Greene's argument
Mm-hmm.
because he's not saying that emotions are inherently bad.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing that there's often a disconnect between our emotions and our rational minds.
Mm-hmm.
He calls this the emotional self.
Okay.
And it's almost like it's a separate entity that's kind of constantly influencing our actions.
So we have two selves battling it out inside us, like a psychological tug of war.
That's a really good way to visualize it.
Okay.
And Greene argues that this disconnect, this is what makes us susceptible to manipulation, especially in our, tech-driven world today.
Yeah, you're talking about social media, right?
Wait,
it's designed to kind of tap into our emotions.
Exactly. Think about the last time you saw a post that made you angry or envious or something like that.
Yeah.
That's social media tapping into that irrational side. And Greene argues that this is not a coincidence. It's a design feature.
Right.
And especially the way that emotions spread online so rapidly, it kind of can be manipulated and lead to those viral effects that we see all the time.
It's like we're all just puppets dancing to the strings of algorithms.
Yeah.
So how do we break free?
Well, Greene, he does provide some solutions.
Okay.
He urges us to question our emotions.
So instead of being ruled by our emotions, we kind of learn to use them strategically.
Exactly. Yeah. He uses the example of Pericles,
Okay.
the Athenian statesman known for his rationality. Pericles, he wasn't emotionless,
Okay.
but he really mastered the balance between acknowledging his feelings and using them to serve, his thinking self.
Okay, so it's about finding that sweet spot
Right.
between logic and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I'm wondering, how do we even begin to recognize when our emotions are kind of getting the better of us?
Well, Greene, he categorizes irrationality in two ways.
Okay.
There's low-grade irrationality and high-grade irrationality. Low-grade is like those everyday tendencies that we often overlook.
Like forgetting where you put your keys.
Exactly.
100th time.
Yeah. High-grade irrationality, that's when our emotions become inflamed, leading to reactivity and poor decisions.
So that would be like road rage when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So understanding this distinction is really key because it helps us recognize when we're slipping into that dangerous high-grade territory.
Mm-hmm.
One example that Greene gives of high-grade irrationality is what he calls conviction bias.
Conviction bias. What's that all about?
It's the tendency to mistake strong emotional conviction for truth.
Okay.
So when we feel passionately about something, we're more likely to believe it's true, even if there's very little evidence to support it.
So we're basically letting our feelings do the thinking for us.
Exactly.
That's a recipe for trouble.
Yes. It is. And this makes us vulnerable to manipulation, especially from those who are skilled at using conviction as a tool.
So like salespeople or...
Salespeople, demagogues, anyone who's trying to persuade us using drama and emotional appeals to mask, their half-truths.
Okay, so you're saying that we should be wary of anyone who's a little too convincing.
Well, it's not to say that strong conviction is inherently a bad thing.
Right, because there are people who are very convincing, but they're convincing you of good things.
Exactly. Yeah, that's often what drives progress and positive change.
Right.
But Greene, he reminds us to be aware of how easily it can be misused. He encourages us to, develop our critical thinking skills and to always look for evidence beyond someone's, passionate delivery.
So we can't just blindly follow anyone with a loud voice and a charismatic personality.
Right.
Okay, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of personalities, Greene also delves into the world of narcissism.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And he approaches it from a very nuanced perspective. Yeah.
He highlights that narcissism exists on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
There's functional narcissism, which is essentially a healthy level of self-esteem that's necessary for well-being.
So you're saying we all need a little bit of healthy narcissism?
In a way, yes.
Okay, but where's the line between healthy self-esteem and, full-blown narcissism?
That's the key question, right? Because a healthy dose of narcissism gives us confidence.
Okay.
It helps us pursue our goals.
Right.
But then there's deep narcissism, and that's the unhealthy level of self-absorption that leads to manipulative behavior and a lack of empathy.
So that's the classic narcissist, the one we all love to hate.
Exactly.
Does Greene give any examples of this?
He points to Joseph Stalin as a chilling example.
Oh, wow.
Because despite Stalin's outward modesty,
Okay.
he was a master manipulator who saw others as mere extensions of himself.
Wow.
They existed solely to validate his grandiose self-image.
That's a pretty extreme case.
Yeah. Are we all just like mini Stalins waiting to happen?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Okay.
But Greene argues that technology, especially social media, is contributing to a rise in narcissistic tendencies.
Okay.
Because it feeds into that need for attention and validation. It fosters a culture of self-promotion and superficiality.
It's like we're all competing for likes and followers instead of actually, connecting on a deeper level.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate this landscape?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of recognizing our own narcissistic tendencies.
Okay.
We all fall somewhere on that spectrum.
So even if we're not full-blown narcissists, we all have these little moments of self-absorption.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We all crave attention, and we all have that tendency to see the world through our own lens.
Okay.
Acknowledging this is the first step towards becoming more empathetic and less self-centered.
It's about being mindful of how our own ego might be kind of influencing our interactions and decisions.
Exactly. That's a really good point.
All right, so we've explored irrationality, narcissism.
Yeah.
It's already making me want to reevaluate all my relationships. But before we get too ahead of ourselves,
Right.
what's standing out to you so far? What's been the most insightful takeaway?
What's really resonating with me is just how much of our behavior is driven by these forces that we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Whether it's our emotional self or those subtle narcissistic tendencies that we all seem to possess.
It's like we're operating on autopilot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But by becoming more self-aware, as Greene suggests, we can start to recognize these patterns and make more conscious choices.
Exactly.
And that awareness is the foundation for everything else. We'll be exploring Greene's work.
Right.
But for now, let's take a break and let those insights sink in.
Right.
When we come back,
Yeah.
we'll delve into one of my favorite topics, the hidden language of nonverbal communication.
Oh, I love that topic.
I think it's fascinating.
It's really revealing.
So stay tuned, folks.
We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive into that hidden language of nonverbal communication that we were talking about before the break.
Greene, he argues that we're constantly sending out these nonverbal signals, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
And these signals, they often reveal our true thoughts and feelings, even more honestly than our words ever could.
So he's basically saying that actions speak louder than words.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, he also suggests we can even detect deception through nonverbal cues.
He does, yeah.
Hold on, you're saying we can become like human lie detectors?
Well, it might sound a little far-fetched,
Yeah.
but Greene, he provides some pretty compelling evidence. He points to subtle cues like tension in the neck and arms, which can actually signal discomfort or disagreement, even if someone is verbally agreeing with you.
So it's like their body is betraying their true feelings.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm going to be staring at everyone's necks from now on.
You might notice some things.
Yeah. Are there any other telltale signs we should be looking for?
Greene, he highlights several.
Okay.
For example, he mentions deliberate hair brushing as a sign of impatience.
Okay.
Or forced smiles and pacifying gestures. Those can reveal insecurity. He even points to something called synchrony of movements as a really powerful indicator of rapport.
Okay.
So when people start mirroring each other's body language, it's a sign that they're connecting on a deeper level.
You're making me hyper aware of every twitch and gesture. But seriously, this is fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Greene is saying that by paying attention to these nonverbal signals, we can gain a real advantage in our interactions with others.
Exactly. You know, we can use this knowledge to build rapport, spot potential deception, maybe even influence others more effectively.
Okay, now this is where I get a little uneasy. Because it's starting to sound like we're talking about manipulation tactics.
Yeah,
you know?
I understand that concern.
Yeah.
While Greene doesn't shy away from the strategic aspects of human nature, he also emphasizes using this knowledge ethically.
Okay, so it's about understanding people, not just exploiting them.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, good.
Now, let's shift gears a bit
Yes.
and dive into another fascinating concept from Greene, the shadow.
Ooh, the shadow.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing, a little ominous.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Greene, he describes the shadow as this hidden, repressed aspect of our personality.
Okay.
It's the side of ourselves that we don't really want to acknowledge, the part that contains our, darker impulses and desires.
So like our inner Darth Vader.
Exactly. Yeah, good analogy.
But unlike in Star Wars, where the dark side is pretty obvious,
Right.
Greene is arguing that our shadow is often hidden from us.
Right. So how do we even begin to see it?
That's the challenge.
Right.
How do we even know it's there?
Well, Greene, he argues that the shadow often gets projected onto others,
Well,
leading to those misjudgments and conflicts.
so we see in others the qualities that we refuse to see in ourselves.
In a way, yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and this is why recognizing and integrating the shadow is so crucial for self-awareness.
Okay.
If we can understand and accept those darker aspects of ourselves, we're less likely to project them onto others and create unnecessary conflict.
All right, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? How do we confront our shadow without, going completely dark side?
Right. Well, it's a process.
Okay.
Greene, he emphasizes honest self-reflection.
Okay.
He urges us to pay attention to those moments when we feel triggered or judgmental toward others.
Okay.
Because those reactions can often point to something that we're repressing within ourselves.
So our negative reactions to others can be clues to our own shadow?
Exactly,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And Greene goes even further, suggesting that people often overcompensate for their shadow, leading to contradictory behavior.
Contradictory behavior. Okay. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, he describes a specific shadow type called the saint. These are individuals who are excessively nice and accommodating on the surface, but they harbor this hidden resentment and aggression underneath.
So it's like they're hiding their true feelings
Yeah.
behind this mask of niceness.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, wow. I think I know a few saints.
We all do.
Yeah.
Another example is the fanatic.
Okay.
These are the individuals who appear so passionate and driven,
Mm-hmm.
but they may secretly desire failure
Okay.
or even sabotage their own success.
Wow. So what you're saying is we need to be careful about taking people at face value.
Yes, exactly.
There might be a lot more going on beneath the surface than we realize.
Absolutely, yeah. Greene stresses that the shadow can be very deceptive, both to ourselves and to others.
Okay.
We need to look beyond those surface appearances and examine those recurring patterns in behavior.
Okay, so we've got irrationality, narcissism, nonverbal communication, and now the shadow.
Yeah, we're covering a lot.
My head is spinning. What other insights does Greene offer about, just the human condition?
Well, he dedicates a whole section to the art of persuasion.
Oh, persuasion.
Oh,
That's something I think we all want to be better at,
Right.
whether it's in our personal lives or professional lives, whatever.
exactly.
What are some of his key strategies?
He emphasizes the importance of deep listening,
Okay.
truly understanding the other person's perspective and motivations.
So it's about connecting with people, not just, trying to win an argument.
Exactly.
Okay.
He also highlights the power of strategic flattery.
Wait a minute, flattery. Isn't that a little manipulative?
Well, it can be a fine line, for sure.
Yeah.
But Greene, he argues that flattery, when done skillfully,
Mm-hmm.
it's simply a way of acknowledging people's need for validation.
So it's about making people feel good about themselves.
Right.
Which then makes them more receptive to your ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps the most important element of persuasion, according to Greene, is creating a sense of validation for the other person.
So it's about building trust.
Exactly, yeah.
And rapport.
Yeah.
Before trying to persuade someone of anything.
Right.
Okay.
He illustrates this point with the story of Anton Chekhov,
Oh, yeah.
famous Russian playwright.
Mm.
You know, Chekhov, he had a very difficult relationship with his father, filled with resentment stemming from his childhood.
Okay.
But through empathy and perspective taking, he was actually able to overcome those negative feelings and develop a sense of understanding and even love for his father.
So it's a story about the transformative power of empathy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, Greene uses this story to highlight the importance of understanding and validating the other person's perspective.
Okay.
Especially if you want to have any chance of persuading them.
That's a good lesson, not just for persuasion, but for life in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything else Greene highlights about becoming a master persuader?
One intriguing concept he introduces is using covetousness as a lever for persuasion.
Covetousness?
Yeah.
As in, like, wanting what others have.
Exactly.
How does that work as a persuasion tactic?
Well, Greene, he points out that humans are naturally drawn to things desired by others.
Okay, yeah, the fear of missing out.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And Greene suggests we can cultivate this sense of covetousness in others by creating an air of mystery and scarcity around the things we want them to desire.
So instead of being, like, completely transparent, we need to create a little bit of intrigue.
Yeah, make it seem more exclusive.
Yeah, it's like playing hard to get.
Exactly. Yeah, similar principle.
I like it.
He uses the example of Coco Chanel.
Oh, Coco Chanel, yeah, she was a master.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, Chanel understood the power of association.
Mm-hmm.
She deliberately cultivated an aura of newness, exoticism, even a touch of taboo around her brand, making it incredibly desirable to women of all classes.
It's not so much about the product itself, it's the feeling it evokes.
Exactly. That's a key takeaway from Greene's exploration of covetousness.
Okay.
It's not about tricking people,
Okay.
but about understanding the psychology of desire and using that knowledge to make your ideas or products more appealing.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot more aware of these subtle influences now.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
But I have a feeling there's still more to unpack.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
In Greene's work, right?
They've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Greene, he goes on to explore gender dynamics.
Okay.
The importance of long-term thinking, the art of group dynamics,
Wow.
even the power of purpose.
It really is a comprehensive guide to the human experience.
It is.
Okay, but before we dive into those fascinating topics,
Yeah.
let's give our listeners a chance to catch their breath.
Right.
What are some of your key takeaways?
Yeah, what's standing out to me is just how much our behavior is influenced by these factors that we're not even conscious of.
Yeah.
Whether it's the shadow, those irrational emotions, or the subtle cues of nonverbal communication.
It's like we're all walking around wearing these masks, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Distracting and perceiving a version of reality that's not always accurate.
Right. Yeah.
So Greene's emphasis on self-awareness is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's like the more we understand these hidden forces, the more control we have over our lives.
Exactly.
So, listeners, take a moment to consider how these insights might apply to your own life. Think about the people you interact with, the decisions you make, the patterns that emerge in your relationships. Are there any hidden forces at play that you're now starting to recognize?
Right.
What can you do to become more aware of these influences and make choices that are truly aligned with your values and goals?
Those are great questions to ponder.
Okay, so with that, let's move on to Greene's exploration of gender dynamics.
Oh, this is a really interesting one.
It's a topic that tends to spark a lot of conversation
Yes. Yeah.
and debate. All right, gender dynamics. What perspective does Greene bring to this?
Well, he dives into what he calls gender rigidity.
Okay.
It's the idea that we often repress aspects of our masculine or feminine nature just to try to fit into these societal expectations.
Yep. So we're kind of squeezing ourselves into these boxes
and
limiting our full potential.
Exactly, yeah.
How does that even play out, like in everyday life?
Well, Greene argues it leads to limitations in our thinking and in our relationships. You know, we project our own idealized masculine or feminine qualities onto other people
Okay.
and often set ourselves up for disappointment.
It's like we're all stuck in these fairy tales looking
Yeah.
for, the knight in shining armor or the damsel in distress or whatever.
Right, and those expectations are just not realistic.
Yeah, we're setting ourselves up for failure with
quick-
those expectations.
Greene, he encourages us to reconnect with those repressed qualities.
Okay.
He argues that embracing both our masculine and feminine sides can actually enhance our creativity
Right.
and lead to more fulfilling relationships.
So it's about finding that balance within ourselves.
Yeah.
Not conforming to these rigid external ideas of
Yeah.
what it means to be masculine or feminine.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
He uses the example of Caterina Sforza.
Okay.
She was an Italian noblewoman
Yeah.
known for her strength and resilience.
Okay.
But despite her capabilities, she fell prey to this classic romantic projection.
Yeah.
She became completely infatuated with a man who ultimately betrayed her.
So even strong, independent people can fall into these traps.
Yeah, absolutely.
It highlights the importance of recognizing those projections and being honest with ourselves about what we really want.
Right.
Okay, good reminders.
Yeah.
What else does Greene have to say about, navigating?
Well, he shifts gears a bit,
Okay.
and he dives into the importance of long-term thinking.
Okay, long-term thinking. I feel like that can be like a superpower these days.
It really can.
What's his take on it?
Well, he highlights the challenges we face in actually adopting a long-term perspective.
Okay.
He points to what he calls the grass is always greener syndrome.
I know that one.
Yeah, that tendency to become dissatisfied with our current situation and constantly be seeking something better.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
And then the goalpost keeps moving.
It's exactly.
Social media does not help with that.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. It really amplifies that tendency. Greene, he emphasizes that this constant desire for something different, it can prevent us from appreciating what we have
Right.
and working towards meaningful long-term goals.
Okay.
He points to 4 common signs of short-sightedness: indecisiveness, procrastination,
Oh, I'm guilty of all of those.
impatience, and distraction.
Those are the things that kind of keep us stuck in
Yeah.
that short-term mindset.
Exactly. And to overcome these tendencies, Greene suggests we cultivate a more far-sighted perspective. We need to consider the long-term consequences of our actions and prioritize the things that will truly matter down the line.
That's about stepping back
Yeah.
and looking at the bigger picture, right?
Exactly.
Easier said than done.
It is. It takes practice, for
Yeah.
sure. But the rewards are well worth the effort.
Okay.
Now, shifting gears again,
Okay.
Greene dives into another really fascinating aspect of human behavior: group dynamics.
Group dynamics, that's something we all experience every day.
Right.
Whether it's at work, with our families, even just like hanging out with friends.
Absolutely.
What insights does he offer about how groups kind of influence us?
Well, he emphasizes the powerful influence that groups have
Okay.
on our thinking and our behavior.
Hmm.
He says that we have this unconscious tendency to conform to group norms, even if those norms kind of go against our own values or better judgment.
It's that classic peer pressure thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
We all want to fit in,
Yeah.
even if it means compromising our individuality.
Right. And Greene, he provides some really chilling examples of how this groupthink mentality can lead to disastrous consequences.
Yeah.
He tells the story of Jianhua, a
Okay.
young man caught up in the chaos of the Cultural Revolution in China.
Oh, wow.
And Jianhua, he witnessed firsthand how mob mentality and groupthink can override individual reason,
Yeah.
leading to violence and oppression.
That's a powerful reminder of how easily we can be swayed by the crowd,
Yeah.
even towards harmful actions.
It's really scary when you think about it.
It is. So how do we resist that kind of influence?
That's the key question, right?
Yeah.
Greene, he urges us to develop self-awareness,
Okay.
specifically in group settings, to recognize when we're being influenced by the collective
Okay.
and to try our best to maintain our independence and rationality.
So it's about thinking critically,
Yeah.
even when you're surrounded by, all these other opinions.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Now, in addition to group dynamics, Greene also delves into what he calls court life,
Court life, okay?
and he highlights the various courtier types that emerge in these settings.
Courtier types, that sounds like something out of like a historical drama.
It does, yeah.
Give me the rundown. Who are these characters?
Well, he describes these figures like the intriguer, the stirrer, the gatekeeper, the whisperer,
Okay.
the shadow, the mirrorer, the dullard, and the favorite.
Wow, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and each one plays a specific role in the court,
Okay.
using their, unique skills to navigate that complex web of power and influence.
That's like a real-life Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
Full of political maneuvering.
And strategic alliances.
Oh, I bet you can spot these courtier types.
Oh, absolutely.
In, modern-day workplaces.
Yeah, any environment where power and influence are at play.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, in addition to all these strategies for kind of navigating the social landscape, Greene also emphasizes the importance of cultivating a strong sense of purpose.
Purpose, yeah. That's something, a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, it's a big one.
What's his take on finding our purpose?
Well, he believes that a strong sense of purpose is essential for overcoming challenges
Okay.
and achieving true fulfillment.
Hmm.
He highlights the importance of finding mentors
Okay.
who can guide and support us,
Yeah.
setting smaller, achievable goals
Okay.
to kind of maintain momentum,
Yeah.
and losing ourselves in the work to overcome distractions and burnout.
So it's about finding that thing that really drives us, right?
Yeah.
That gives our life
Yeah,
meaning and direction.
exactly.
It's about passion, commitment, not just, ambition or success.
Absolutely.
He uses the example of Meryl Streep, right?
He does, yeah.
She's definitely someone who seems to have found her calling.
She really has, yeah.
Now, there's one final topic I want to touch on.
Right.
It's something, it's not the easiest topic,
Right.
but it's something we all have to confront at some point.
Right.
His perspective on death awareness.
Yeah, a really important one.
What insights does Greene offer about facing our own mortality?
Well, he believes that confronting our mortality can
Yeah.
actually help us live more meaningfully.
Okay.
By acknowledging the finite nature of our existence, we can clarify our priorities,
Yeah.
appreciate the present moment, and develop a deeper sense of gratitude
Okay.
for the gift of life.
So it's about embracing that reality of death,
Yes,
not shying away from it.
exactly.
It's about using that awareness to fuel our lives, not to diminish them.
Absolutely.
He uses the example of Flannery O'Connor.
He does.
I like her writing.
She's brilliant.
Yeah.
O'Connor, she battled lupus for much of her adult life, and she used her confrontation with death
Yeah.
to fuel her creativity and resilience.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is, yeah.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive
We have.
into the laws of human nature. What are your final takeaways?
What stands out to me is that understanding human nature is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, more to discover about ourselves and other people.
Yeah.
Greene's work provides a framework
Right.
and a set of tools for navigating this journey.
Okay.
But the real work begins when we start applying these insights to our own lives.
About becoming more self-aware, more empathetic,
Yeah,
more conscious of the forces that shape our behavior,
absolutely.
and using that knowledge to, make choices that are aligned with our values, to build better relationships, and hopefully to live more fulfilling lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the fascinating work of Robert Greene.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope you found these insights helpful
We'll see you next time.
for another exploration of ideas that matter.
Make sure to follow and subscribe.